Fahad, you're somebody who's so knowledgeable. I'm fascinated about this conversation. Uh, you do wear multiple hats, both in the private and public sector. That's why I think your advice to future generations is very important.
Thank you.
And I would like us to think together about these future generations that are coming with ICT as a very important sector looking into the future of the region. What would be some advice you would give to the younger generations who aspire to, to have a role in this transformative journey?
It's a good word, transformative, definitely, because I feel bad for the younger generations because the leaps in technology is going to make a lot of basic things that were taken for granted obsolete or gone.
Yes.
Whether it's, even jobs like lawyers, doctors, engineers, architects. Those were like things people used to dream about becoming. Now they're like, no, I got my computer to do that. I used to pay $200 an hour to run through the blood work analysis with my doctors. I had a doctor in Europe and a doctor in Thailand. I would just go through the blood work with before I go meet my doctors here in Kuwait, which will cost me $400. Now Claude does that, and Perplexity has a health angle that does that, and it's even better than the doctors because they don't get tired, and they're not moody, and they're not like jet lagged. It's there.
Yes.
And so I am, for one, and the amount of information I know about my health now, that's quadrupled just since I started using, the models for that. And so it is transformative. Things are changing at a high pace.
Mm-hmm.
What I think also is their advantage, now this is the disadvantage, their advantage is now there's a whole phenomena called vibe coding. And vibe coding means you don't need to learn a coding language. Like you don't need to learn JavaScript or C++ or Python, the new languages that you use today, Assembly, Unity, Django. You don't need any of that. You just need to understand what you want to build and you say it, and you type it like in natural language. And the computer will understand what you want and they build. And so even learning code has become obsolete now. You just need to have logic. And vibe coding is here. And a lot of the young kids now are building using vibe coding software. And those vibe coding companies in 2 years became worth 50 billion. It's huge, like Lovable and Cursor, and even in the models themselves, like in Anthropic and Cloud Code, there's coding agents. And so I think if I was to give advice to parents, send your kids to, coding institutes to teach them the logic, how to code, and then vibe coding, which is once you know the logic, now you know what you encourage them on building. And you're going to have a lot of people building things. And, with 6G coming, now you can download the entire Netflix library in 1 second.
6G.
Yeah. Not one movie in a second. I remember when it will take me 2 days to download one movie, and I thought it was the craziest thing in the world.
I remember that too. I lived through it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was like so happy. I remember when it was, I forgot it was Star Wars in 1997 maybe or something. And we downloaded it. It was bootlegged and it was online. It was my friend in Germany, and we came and we found a place to download it. And it took us 2 days to download the movie, and we saw it. And we were so happy. It was free and it was online, and we saw the movie. And now you can download the entire Netflix library in 1 second. And that's because of my limited imagination. I think that's a big deal. But if you talk to a 6-year-old today who is smart, they like, oh, let me think about how does that get me closer to Mars? How does that get me, to build my chalet in the moon? You know what I mean? Or how do I get to live 200 years?
But do you think
with my pets that live 200 years with me? And so I see their concerns. Like one of the companies we invested in is called Loyal. It's about prolonging dogs' lives. And because you cannot do certain tests on humans, they're doing it on dogs. And now they managed to extend the dog's life 5 years. So instead of 12 human years, they can stay 17 human years and ongoing. And then imagine you get them to stay 50 years. And then imagine that technology being allowed on humans. And so now humans have, have anti-aging capabilities that make them live to 150 happy lives with their happy dogs and their happy friends. And, the game changed. It's not about downloading movies or social apps. It's about changing your life. And I think it's coming. People just need to be less complacent and more focused. And as I said, fortune favors the prepared. Fortune favors the prepared. The more prepared you are, the more fortunate you're going to be.
So the younger generation should be more prepared.
They have every tool in the world to make them win. It's just smart parents will push their kids into smart lanes.
Yes.
And traditional complacent parents will probably send their kids to do things that will probably be obsolete. And, like 100 years ago, making sure your kid is a very good horseback rider.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or like, you invest all your money in building the best carriage because you want your kids to go to work. And then the highway came, and how stupid are you? And so that's what's going on now. People are teaching their kids to ride horses and carriages while we're in the information superhighway, the AI superhighway.
Are we more efficient or are we more dependent?
We're so much more efficient. And look, lazy people will be dependent no matter what. Like when the lazy boy and TV came, people just sat down and watched TV. It's because they're lazy. So if you go back to the cavemen, the one that hunted and was bigger is the one that wasn't lazy, and the one that sat around in the cave did nothing probably got eaten. And so it's a human nature. It has nothing to do with technological advancement.
Yes.
It's you. What do you do with your life? Have you become? I work more now because of AI. I can do much more. I produce more, and that encourages me to do more. And I think it's a blessing.
Fahad, I wonder sometimes how much culture interferes in technology transformations. And I want to discuss with you a subject, but I promised myself I will always respect the decision of the interviewee to speak about certain subjects. Mm-hmm. There's an envelope on the table. I would like you to take it, open it, read what's inside, and decide if you want to share that with our audience today.
Let's see. Surprise.
Yes, if you want to talk about it,
sure.
You read it out loud.
The website?
I heard from sources that, I'll make the introduction. I heard from sources that you had to learn a tough lesson, tough love. I was amazed because you were somebody who built something incredible and who made an amazing transformation and was about to win the lottery, as they say, but then maybe culture interfered. And I want to know more about this, and I think it could be a great lesson for the younger generations.
All right, well, Ajib.com was my first startup, and it was in the late 90s during the .com boom. And so the first tech boom of scale happened in the mid-90s.
How old were you?
I was in college. I was very young. And I was motivated because there were 3 websites that went public, and it was amazing. Everyone was trying to get on them. And there was no way to get online. You needed to go get an internet connection, which is dial-up. You had to put Ethernet, and you somehow got online. You needed a phone, and your phone, people will call you and will disconnect. It was the good old days. And then you needed something called a browser. You needed to go get a CD-ROM, upload it to your laptop, and then open a browser that allows you to browse the internet, right? Mm-hmm. And then you need somewhere to go. Now you have a browser, where to go? So you have to go to a directory that directs you where to go in the internet. And there was something called Yahoo, and it was yahoo.com. And then it was America Online, which put everything in AOL. Mm-hmm. And I loved all that. I was online all day. The amount of information I was getting, homework for college became such a joke. I didn't even have to go to university, to the library. Everything was online.
Yes.
And I would, it wasn't plagiarism, but it was, close. It was just, everything was online. And, I wasn't trying to produce a thesis that changed the world. I was just answering questions. So I realized how much fun it was. And then because I was studying finance in Northeastern, I did something called the co-op, and you work with what you did. So I got a job in Wall Street, and I went to Wall Street and I saw Yahoo and Netscape and AOL go public on NASDAQ.
Mm-hmm.
And they shot into $100 million companies, and all the founders were my age. And actually, one of the founders of Napster, which started peer-to-peer sharing and the whole music downloading streaming business, he was in Northeastern with us, Sean Fanning. And he was just a regular guy. And he created something so amazing. So I thought we need to do something similar. And I moved back to the Middle East. I moved back to Kuwait, and I realized how no one's going to get online. For one, everything online was in English.
Yes.
And we wanted it to be in Arabic. And so one of my father's patents was in machine translation. And I took that technology and I gave it an online, front, and people would just come in and put the URL of what they wanted to see. Let's say, you like reading this magazine or whatever, and you'll put it, and then I will translate it in Arabic for you. And the first thing people said is, wow, or Ajib. And so I called it Ajib.com.
Okay.
And it was at one point the highest visited website with 21 million views. And I made some money on ads, whatever. It was, forgot, the companies click something. Google, then I think Google bought it or someone. But it was fine. I had an office in Dubai. Dubai had a cute little town called Dubai Internet City. It doesn't exist anymore. Or that building doesn't exist anymore because it became a highway that took you to the Palm. But back then I was there, and it was doing very, very well in terms of traffic, in terms of everything. But the Middle East in general, the GCC in general, was very slow in terms of internet adoption. There was no internet. It was all closed, and they didn't know what to do. So the cost, okay, don't forget, this is the cost of having a server and bandwidth and T1 lines and all that talk was super expensive. So all the money I was investing in infrastructure. Today it's all almost free. And so it's very...
But you got approached. I know you got approached.
Well, what story are you talking about? I'll tell you, no problem. Just ask me, what exactly are you saying?
So I heard about Ajib,
sure.
And I heard it was groundbreaking technology at the time, specifically because of the translation capabilities.
Right.
I heard that you got approached by Yahoo to buy the company. I heard there was a big number, hundreds of millions involved, which I think speaks a lot about your vision and your talent in innovation. But then I heard there was a family decision not to sell. And that's why I mentioned culture. On the one hand, I wonder how that impacted you at the time, because you were on the edge of glory, like they say. But also, if you regret not selling it, or if you are at peace with the decision that was made back then.
I think that there's some truth behind what you heard, but I think it's three stories that kind of overlap.
Okay.
So yeah, I did struggle with the idea of managing Ajib as an independent, autonomous website. I was not given the authority I think I deserved for a young innovator.
Yes.
And I was like, I had to have like these older board members and people that were trusted, that were just dead weights and actually were counterproductive because they didn't get what I was saying. And they kept slowing me down to a point where I couldn't handle the interference, and they just didn't get it. And I don't think anyone got it. And they were kept, and then they started adding things, and we veered from what it was into a complete open portal. It had books, had stories. It just lost its... We should have just focused on machine translation and being number one. And then, Google Translate and Siri and all that came later.
Yes.
And that was the problem. And then in 2007, actually, one of the larger US, Yahoo went and bought Maktub. Okay, so it has nothing to do with me. They went and bought Maktub, which was a Jordanian website. And
I heard that happen after they approached you?
Yeah, no, like maybe there were talks with Yahoo. We were talking with Microsoft was trying to buy Yahoo, and Yahoo was trying to buy things. They're all gone, and Maktub is gone, Yahoo is gone. They all failed eventually. But what I think killed me, but was life. In 2007, we had a binding agreement to acquire 51% of my company at a total valuation of $210 million in 2007. And so they will buy 51%, which means probably they'll buy $200 million, $100 million, pardon me. And the 100 million was going to mostly come to me, and I think together we'll put 10% as new capital, and I would stay on board for 2 years. And that was great. And then I think towards the end of 2007, there were signs that the world was collapsing. It was the global financial crisis.
Yes.
And the other side was being advised by Lehman Brothers. I was being advised by HSBC and a local group. And Lehman Brothers collapsed and disappeared.
Yes.
And half of the team in HSBC got fired. And I saw the world collapse. And it was, just said to me, like, what if I started 3 months earlier? What if all the what ifs happened? And then I was really upset and depressed that summer. And it was one of the worst summers I remember. And I remember not being able to sleep. It was like 2 months insomnia, maybe.
Yes.
Of just like, what happened? And then watching the world collapse. And then people were killing themselves, literally. People were jumping off buildings in 2008 because their whole career is gone, their whole thing. People shot themselves here. You know what I mean? And so it was sad. So I figured, you know what? I don't care about what happened. I'm just going to move on. And sometimes, everything is a blessing in disguise. You learn, you move, and we learned a lot. So we try not to put ourselves in such situations. And so I figured, if life is so risky, you might as well just go all in on risk, and just focus on risk. And all our bets now are very risky, and enjoy the risk, enjoy the ride. So at least it goes up and down. You were expecting it.
I had one last question. Are you still hoping to be an innovator one day? Are you still hoping to do a groundbreaking step, just like you did back then when you were in your early 20s?
The Jedi is a groundbreaking strategy. It doesn't have to be a tech tool. It can be just a strategy. It can be how you implement it and how you do it. Think about it. I'm in Kuwait, managing, 45 million, which is today, it's over 63 million in value. In Kuwait, remotely, managing all that money via a network of emerging managers, all managed through data analysis using some AI and some data science tools, and being able to invest in great companies. And now we're watching some of them. Some of them are filing to go public. Some of them are being acquired by other public companies. And now, we're very close to a major tectonic shift, like what happened in 2007 and what happened with the move, let's say, to the cloud. The move to AI is really scaring people. And so it's an excellent time to be there and to have, and inshallah, what we built will show fruition in a few years, probably next year. And then people will see this is the most innovative way to invest. And so I'm very happy what we built, and with our courage, our faith, and our patience. And I think these are virtues that have always been in humanity. Whether you read the Quran or the Bible, this is what God's message is. Be patient, be faithful, be full of faith, and faithful to your vision, and patient. And nothing happens without courage. And so the courage to be different, to be contrarian, to innovate, is what differentiates the winners from the not so winners.